What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. We got a super epic one ahead of us. We're working on a color Disney villain sleeve, and today we're working on Maleficent. Now in this video, I'm going to show you the fundamentals of color tattooing. I'm super excited to show you what I got today. Let's get at it. Alright, now let's get started with our setup. We got our razor laid out, we got some glide, we got some hive caps, we got our Spectra Zion all wrapped up with our critical battery pack on the back. Now let's go ahead and break up these hive caps, and we're going to reassemble them in a nice organized big old color palette, looking great. Now we're going to go ahead and open our cartridge needles. We're using a 5 liner and a 7 mag to do our sculpting and lining and applying our general areas of black in our foundation. And then we're going to be using a 9 and a 23 soft edge mag for our shading and packing. Alright, now we got our hive cap. We're going to go ahead and bring some distilled water over and place it in this cup. Now we're going to use these special little ports to put our cartridges in, and they're going to soak in that distilled water to make sure that the tips of the tubes stay nice and clean and fluid throughout the procedure. Now we're going to go ahead and go to the most important part of color tattooing, and that is the colors. We're going to start out with some dynamic black. We got some solid colors. These are looking beautiful. We got the dark green, the medium green for our underglow. We got some of these random tones from Eternal and Solid. And we're going to go ahead and build this whole different green up at the top. These are for our face. This is some solid ink. This is violet. We got some really cool smoky colors, some peyote in the face. These are going to be very nice. And we're going to complement this with some Chris Garver red in the lips. Now we're going to bring a couple of colors together and make a chartreuse. We're going to bring over some of our Revolution colors. Now these are going to hold the whole piece together. These colors are so good for blending. It reminds me of painting in oils. Now we're going to go back over to our sterile setup on our stainless steel mayo tray, and we're going to start actually laying these colors out. Now we grabbed a couple caps of that dynamic triple black, some serious good stuff right there. And we're going to start laying out our mixing tones and our dark values. We got our Revolution set in here. These are brought to you by Mr. Nico Hurtado. In my opinion, these are the best inks out there. They blend the best, they're the smoothest, they're super appealing, and they give you the best amount of saturation you could possibly get. Now we're going to go ahead and grab out some of these solid colors, and we're going to play off our bold, darkest colors, and we're going to cluster those in the back, because in tattooing, we always want to stick with our darkest tones, values, pigments, before we work into our light ones, because our darkest pigments build the foundation of our piece, and the light pigments are meant to complement the skin after the whole piece has been worked on and everything's very sensitive, so it'll give us the brightest, most saturated appearance. And we definitely don't want to drag any of those dark tones into that fresh light value, because it might cause a stain on the skin, and that would be horrible for your photo, but ultimately it would go away after the tattoo was healed. Now we have most of our palette laid out here, and we're bringing in our lightest tones. We got some honeydew, some lime, and we got those yellows, and I'm going to be doing a lot of mixing to create this beautiful chartreuse value. Now that we have our beautiful palette, we're going to grab some dynamic 00 mixing solution and we're just gonna put like a drop or two on top of each of these colors, and that's just gonna make the ink more fluid, and it's gonna keep the top hydrated so it doesn't become dry and crispy. Now we got our drips on there. We're gonna go ahead and grab our stencil. We're gonna prepare the paper. We got our brown piece out of there. Now we're gonna grab our yellow and tear that cleanly off. We're gonna take this over to our Brother stencil printer and carefully align this sheet in there. And we're gonna go over and press print. And bam, here comes our beautiful Maleficent right out of the printer. Looking so good. We're taking this over to our client. We have the skin nice and shaved, nice and prepped. Alright, we're nice and set up. We got the colors laid out. We got everything done. The preparations for this take approximately 45 minutes to an hour. There's a lot that goes on. I like having my design partially completed before my client comes, and then we work together to achieve the final design at the end. All right, we're just about to start. I'm gonna show you a super important part of the procedure, and that is setting the needle depth. It's different for every style. Today I'm gonna show you how to set up for color. Let's get it done. So here's our machine, fully wrapped, ready to go. We're gonna take our liner cartridge. We're gonna plug it in. Twist it. Let's run our machine. You can actually see that quite perfectly. Quite perfectly. This is our liner. Alright, now let's get real close to this thing. Now, needle depth is something that you could teach someone, but ultimately they're gonna have to figure out on their own. And it matters on the skin type, the project. Usually for color, you want to hang it out a little bit further. Now let's get this thing rolling. Now, I drew in a little bit of stuff with my marker just to give me some guidelines where my stencil ended. I'm gonna slowly work this thing up with my 7 flat mag and my 23 soft edge mag with my blacks. And there's enough black in this tattoo that is gonna hold everything in there, and you should be able to knock out most of the stencil without worrying about it going away. And we're gonna use these nice broad circular motions. Now with color saturation, it's super important to go slow, to take your time, and to realize that skin is skin and it's gonna have its limitations, and you don't want to overwork that skin. It's always better to approach the tattoo next time once it's healed than to overwork the skin the first time. Now we're gonna get all of these foundational features laid out. We use our liner to get those little facial features, the lips, the eyes done. Alright, let's continue along. We got our 7 flat mag, and we're gonna go ahead and finish sculpting all these lines up at the top. I like to use the mag instead of a liner because it does way less damage to the skin than a liner would. Now we're gonna get this thing wiped off with our Dr. Bronner's magic soap, and we're gonna go ahead and start to work with our warm values. We got our reds, and we're using our 9 mag to shade in our medium features on this tattoo. I like switching between the 9 mag and the 23 mag based on the area that I need to tattoo. If it's something small, I'm going to use the smaller one. If it's something big, I'm going to use the larger one. Now we're going to use our paper towel to clean off our tube, and we're going to transition to our pure lightest tone. Now that's super important that you clean it off because You don't want your colors to become muddy. You want everything to be bright, straight out of the tube. You want your undertones to have that muddiness, and you want your vibrant values to be perfect and straight out of the tube. Now we're going to give this thing a couple wipes. I'm working with a semi-dry paper towel, not too damp, not too dry. This allows me to manipulate the skin and get my stretches while wiping off just the right amount of pigment where I can continue to work very efficiently. So I'm working with my 9 here, and I'm carefully building up those dark tones. I've gone ahead and switched over to that 23. Now you can see that my circles have become larger, they have become slower, and that is just because the 23 is larger. And if you let the needle and the machine do the job it's supposed to do, it's going to apply a very smooth, clean tattoo. So the magic is in letting the machine do the work that it's supposed to do. You don't need to be putting too much extra. Now this is getting exciting. As you can see, we've switched to our lightest value, our brightest tones, and now we're going to start to smoothly sink those in under the skin with our 23 mag. And I work on my tattoos like a painting. Sometimes I'm a pain in the butt because I work around the piece and I go over things multiple times, but ultimately it's going to give me the better result, and I'm sorry for my client's pain, but that's just the best way to approach it. Now we're going to finish off this highlight with this nice chartreuse value that I've been saving since the very beginning. I'm going to do a little bit of highlight in the eyes, a little bit of highlight in her magical mystery sphere, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing wiped off, and using our Dr. Bronner's, we're going to give it a nice smooth wipe. Now let's check this thing out.